Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next few hours, along with Nick.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you, too. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is being brought to you by Adamus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. And the broadcast is also made possible by Telestream's Wirecast software. And good morning, Steve.
Good. Is it working? Good morning, everybody.
Steve, every week when Amnon does your intro, there's always a problem. I'm noticing that. I think he's calling on you too early, right after you join.
Yeah, maybe give me a few seconds. It's I'm using Google Chrome, but I've only got a 1024 by 768 monitor, although it's 40-inch, but it's, so everything's squashed up into a little window, and unfortunately the mic symbol for mute or unmute is right over the top of the LE for Google underneath it, so it's very difficult to see whether it's muted or unmuted.
To notice it, yeah.
Yeah, and I can't hear myself on this computer, so it's guesswork, really.
How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing all right, thank you. Nice to see a little bit of sunshine over in the UK this week. Lots of rain and wind, but sunshine breaking through the clouds.
Oh, so that's where it went.
Yeah, we've got it over here for a change.
Okay.
Oh, stop, Amnon.
I'm waiting for it.
One day below freezing.
I know. Well, looks like it's been freezing for the last several years. It feels like it anyway.
We had in Albany, we had the second coldest. No, yes, we had the second coldest February in the history of.
When was the coldest?
History? Like 1700s or something.
Wow.
It doesn't look very nice over there, so I'm glad I'm here.
I saw some really. Let me find. Actually, no, never mind. That was wrong.
So, did you do any more reading about net neutrality?
Me?
Yeah.
I tried, and I tried talking to my friends that I thought I would know, had an idea, and I'm still where I was. I don't know what it means.
Well, I haven't been doing much reading, but it seems like, in a way, it's a good thing.
I think the public are going to benefit more than the industry is. Well,
that's. I mean, the industry is not going to lose anything. It's going to stay the same as it is right now.
Yeah, if you listen to them bleating on, it's going to change this and it's going to change that, and they won't be able to afford to invest in infrastructure. What a load of rubbish.
This article goes, the U.S. Federal Communication Commission has voted 3-2 to approve an expansion of their ability to regulate ISPs by treating them as a public utility. Under the rules, it will be illegal for companies such as Verizon or Cox Communications to slow down streaming videos, games, and or online content traveling over their networks. They also will be prohibited from establishing quote-unquote fast lanes that speed up access to websites that pay an extra fee. And in an unprecedented move, the FCC could apply the rules to wireless carriers such as T-Mobile and Sprint, and nod to the rapid rise of smartphones and the mobile internet. I wonder if that also means that they're not going to be able to throttle you down. We'll have to wait and see. The
I think that's what it
FCC,
implies.
the what?
I think that's what it implies.
I guess so, but I mean, it's there's still loopholes, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, they're bound to be the terminology and wording of it's going to
Yeah.
be very carefully done.
So it needs to be cleared. The FCC opted to regulate the industry with the most aggressive rules possible. Title II of the Communications Act, which was written to regulate phone companies. The rules waive a number of provisions in the Act, including part of the law that empowers the FCC to set retail prices, something internet provider feared above all. However, the rules gives the FCC a variety of new powers, including the ability to enforce consumer privacy rules, extract money from internet providers to help subsidize services for rural Americans, educators, and the poor, and make sure services such as Google Fiber can build new broadband pipes more easily. So that's a good thing. Everything sounds hunky-dory. Where did I read this? Which has something to do with 2 states. I don't know why. I mean, I thought there were 19 states that had rules about municipalities cannot get involved in broadband or whatever. So it says that on Thursday, before it voted in favor of net neutrality, the Federal Communications Commission voted 3-2 to override state laws in Tennessee and North Carolina that have barred local governments and public utilities from offering broadband outside the areas where they have traditionally sold electricity. Okay, I didn't read that part close before, so I know they're talking about green light. Christopher Mitchell of the Institute for Local Self-Reliance said the move was as important for internet competition as net neutrality. Preventing big internet service providers from unfairly discriminating against content online is a victory, but allowing communities to be the owners and stewards of their own broadband network is a watershed moment that will serve as a check against the worst abuses of the cable monopoly for decades to come. The laws, like those in over a dozen other states, are often created under pressure from large private internet providers like Comcast and Verizon, who consequently control monopolies or duopolies. Is that the right way to say it?
Yep.
Over high-speed internet in these places. I don't know why it's only in Tennessee and North Carolina, though. I mean, if they voted, why didn't they say that across the board states cannot force it? But this is nice. I mean, it sounds right. It sounds positive. It sounds the right thing. It sounds fair. Call it whatever you want.
Maybe they're just testing the waters in these 2 states to see if they can get away with any legal lashback
Maybe.
against it.
I mean, in North Carolina, in Wilson, North Carolina, there's a company called Greenlight. And Greenlight, a few years ago, when Time Warner could not provide what the people of Wilson wanted, they went ahead and they worked with the municipality to build their own fiber network in Wilson. And they've been providing upwards of 100 megabits to anybody for a very reasonable price. I was actually thinking about moving some of my servers over there because I have a friend living there. But lately, Greenlight wanted to expand it to not the outskirts of the city, but outside the city to little communities that asked for it. And because our legislator in their educated, aware state, I'm being sarcastic here, voted a few years ago that municipalities cannot get involved with any such broadband endeavors. They couldn't do that because of that law. So now that the FCC lifted it, they're going to be able to. Morning, Mike.
Good Sunday morning.
Hey. Missed you. How you doing?
Well, thank you. Thank you.
How long you been here? I didn't see.
About an hour.
Long enough to hear what we were talking about?
Sure.
So what do you think?
Well,
Hold
all
on.
I can,
Before you answer that, Mike.
Yeah.
Do you have an explanation of net neutrality that's basic? Do you have an understanding on what net neutrality actually is?
the actual answer to your question is no, but I'm
Ugh.
going to let my sensibilities prevail here. And looking at the telephone companies were used as a model. And I see how the government getting involved with telephone companies has solved all those problems to the point that the telephone companies have priced themselves out of business. Have you looked at your telephone bill lately to see how many taxes are on your phone bill? Stay tuned.
Yeah, that was one thing that they were talking about, that people are right now, like when I bill my customers, there is no taxes or nothing. I mean, it's a certain price. And when I'm paying taxes as a corporation, but I don't have to collect sales tax and this fee and that fee. So I may have to start doing that. I was reading that we may have to start doing it as ISPs.
You're going to have to raise your prices. You don't have to charge the taxes as much as you have to recover your cost.
Yeah.
And you could end up, I'm just telling you that if this new government regulation of something that was not broken improves it, then it will be the first time in my lifetime that I have experienced a situation where government regulation improved instead of hurt.
So other than the taxing, I mean, as far as quality, this is the main thing that got clobbered by the breaking of AT&T when they broke them. We don't have the quality, and we have more fees in order to pay for those who, for rural, and they were mentioning it here too, that we're going to have to pay. They're going to take money from the ISPs in order to pay for rural Americans. But how else can it be a negative thing?
You can see the prices go through the roof.
I don't know
Well,
that prices will go to the roof.
I mean, of course, neither do I, but it's a possibility.
I think it'll be the other way around.
Where's that money gonna? You just said that the ISPs are gonna have to front the bill for this internet to go into the rural area. That's
Well, I
coming right
mean,
back to
you're
you,
talking
Amnon.
about fees. I mean, you know, it's
Yeah, but I mean, look at what Time Warner did with their sports. They got a raise on what they charge for sports. You're paying what, $7 a month now for the sports channels on Time Warner?
I don't know, but
They
yeah,
just recently introduced that. The sport companies,
but
ESPN, NFL Network, are charging a higher fee. So
okay, I'm looking at it more in a big picture. If right now you're paying $80 for internet service with Time Warner. Google comes into town, and some
Yeah,
others
but
come into town.
that's a very if Google comes into town, Time Warner will offer their 100 megabit internet for dirt cheap. But those are very small
No,
areas.
I understand. But what I'm saying is, and I'm looking at our area. I mean, in other area, there'll be others that will come in. And if you look at it this way, and if you pay 80 now, and it's going to go down, let's say to 60 or to 50, and you have to pay another $10 in fees, you are still coming out cheaper than you were before all this. What am I missing here?
I don't think we know what's going to happen
What
yet.
No.
you're missing is the way government works. And what they do when they want to take over something like they've just taken over the internet is it's all roses for the first 3, 4, 5 years. Wow, this is great. Thank you for coming to our rescue. And then boom, when they're so deeply entrenched, then they own your butt. That's the way socialized medicine works. That's the way the internet's working. So I mean, you know what, Merle and I hope we're wrong, but I'll put money on it.
Well,
I mean, who could be opposed to everyone having health care?
well, when it's unattainable kind of thing, and you can see it. Not, I don't know if unattainable the word is. When you see that, no, this cannot work. I mean, something has got to give here. You can't do that. You can't give everybody this and this and this and not have the money for it. Then you understand. But over here, this is private industry, just like the phone. I mean, the telephone system is still working. Hello, Merle.
Hey, Amnon, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
There's one other aspect to it as well, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to get into all this
Why
because
not?
all these things
Why-
are posted
why
out there
not?
forever, and I'm not going to get into it. But I'm just going to tell you that often government regulations, I won't say in this case, but government regulations are often used to shake down the big money people. And there's no question the internet providers now are big money people. So don't be surprised to see a very chummy relationship between the federal government and all of these big companies going forward. Tell them, Merle.
Yeah. Well, and here's my problem. You guys were focusing on the taxes. My issue with this whole thing is there's been a 332-page plan out there for quite some time that the government wouldn't let us see. Now, this goes back to Nancy Pelosi in the days of Obamacare, and we have to pass the bill in order to see what's in the bill. So why won't they, the most transparent government, in recent years or decades, allow us to see what their plan was? To me, if past performance is any indication of future results, we're going to get what's coming to us because we've allowed it to happen. I mean, people are talking about everything is about fairness. And okay, I heard an analogy the other day. I think one of the talking heads on the radio was saying is, okay, so what's going to happen? So Fox News gets 6 billion hits a month and MSNBC is only getting 2. Are they going to throttle Fox News? Because we need to be fair and balanced and allow MSNBC their day to get their point of view across. So we're going to throttle Fox News's bandwidth.
I can look at it in a different way and be a devil's advocate. I don't compare it. I don't compare the Nancy Pelosi to this, for one reason. With Congress, these are elected people. We elected them. You're going to do something for us.
Right.
You better let us know.
Right.
With the FCC, these are appointed people. They're going to decide on technical stuff. This is the same situation as when our North Carolina legislator got involved in this. They had no business getting involved in this because they don't. What?
Yeah.
Why were they involved, Amnon?
Who?
North Carolina legislators.
Because of money, because of lobbying. I understand.
What can I tell you?
Mike, I'm just commenting on what Merle just was talking about.
Understand,
and I'm saying that's the other side.
With all due respect, your comments are so far out there that if we didn't know you, we'd say you were trolling.
Well, I mean, I like the fact that they are lifting that law. They're doing away with that law that the legislator here passed. That's a positive thing.
Is
I
it?
I think so. I want to see Google Fiber and RST and whoever wants to come and install networks to be able to do it. How would you feel, bless you, how would you feel if you could only get Verizon as a cell phone in North Carolina? There was no other provider could do it, only Verizon. We would be in it deep, wouldn't we?
I think we are in it deep.
No, because they are, well, we are in it deep, but there were provisions to say no, it's not just Verizon. Any carrier can come here and offer their services. This is why they were talking about, if we want to go a little bit more, and I'm not an expert on this, when they were talking about healthcare, allow people to purchase across state lines. Yeah, it's the same thing. Is go and get it wherever you feel the most
Right.
comfortable
Okay.
and the prices are right and blah 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 blah.
All right, but what you're doing is singling out certain things. There's something good about everything. There's something bad about everything. You're
Absolutely.
pulling little things out
Ri-
that almost anyone would agree with you are good things, are good benefits.
Right.
I have a daughter-in-law who's type 1 diabetic. She's having to go out and buy insurance next month. With a pre-existing condition, without the rule change, she would not, there's no way she'd be able to be covered with it. But now, so it's a good thing for her. But does that mean that the whole thing is good? No, it does
Mike,
not.
nobody
Let's don't get
ever
too deep.
Mike, nobody's saying the whole thing is good, but that's part of the big difference between us, that I like to look at always at the positive things and then weigh it against the bad things. And in my opinion, the good things are outweighing the bad things. I may be wrong, and maybe in 5 years, 10 years, I would say, boy, did I see things the wrong way. But for now, this, in my opinion, is a positive thing. It is allowing people like me who want to get other providers to come in. And here I am. I mean, I'm an ISP, but I want people to understand, I'm an ISP, but I don't provide broadband. So it's not affecting me. But I want to see more providers. I want to see more competition. I want to see the prices going down. And this will allow it. I mean, we were bitching and moaning about that law in North Carolina that is stopping Google Fiber from coming to
No, it's
Raleigh,
not.
right?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It is if they want the government, the municipality, to work with them.
No.
Yes, absolutely.
that-
if they
not
wanted
true.
if they wanted to come in and do it on their own and put 100% their money into it, they can probably do it.
What's wrong with that?
I still don't know what about the right of ways, because the government may say, "Nah, I'm sorry, you can't," because this is how, the way that I see, this is how business, big business like that works. They want some commitment from the local government to say, yeah, we will work with you. We'll allow. I mean, we're doing it. Every state is doing it. Hey, business, come on in here. We'll give you tax breaks. Hey, business, come on in. We'll give you this. It's just the way the business is run. So why can't we enjoy it for once? Merle, what do you say about my argument about the difference between Congress and the FCC as far as being transparent?
Okay, well, let's remember the government works for us.
Right.
So the fact that something, I mean, we're not talking national security here, okay?
Now, Merle's
Correct.
trolling.
Right.
We're talking about communications. And the fact that there is a plan that the government would not let us see, you've got to ask yourself why. Why is that? Why was it so secret that we could not get our hands on this and have the ability to look at it before the FCC voted on it? To me, I mean, that should throw a big red flag right there. I mean, why? I mean, you just got to ask yourself over and over again, why the secrecy? I mean, usually people keep secrets because they don't want people to find out what's going on. And so if this is such a great thing, let us look at the plan before you vote on it. That's all I'm saying. Is you might be right. This could be the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I go back to my statement. If past performance is any indication of future results, every time the government gets involved, things do not get better. I mean, I don't want to get political here, but the government has its lanes in the road and what it's supposed to do according to the U.S. Constitution. And outside of the post office, they do those things well. Let the free open market work. It will work if you let it work. But I think we are on a slippery slope here. And when you talk about the internet has been really the sole source of open communication, when the government gets a hold of it and they start regulating it, watch out. I hope I'm wrong. I hope 3 years from now we're still able to sit here and have this conversation about net neutrality without the stream going blank and being cut off because I'm critical of the government. That's that's me, I guess. I guess I'm paranoid. So,
well, no, I mean it's fine. It makes for good conversation and good discussion because everybody sees things differently. And like I told Mike, I'm an optimist. I like to look at this and say, yep, it's going to work for us. I mean, it couldn't be worse than paying Time Warner upwards of $150 a month for internet and TV. Come on.
Well, but Amnon, what you're going to do is, and we'll go back to the tax part, when the government gets involved, now you got to pay a bunch of overpaid government workers to sit around and regulate it. So, just like healthcare, it was supposed to be cheaper once, the Affordable Care Act was instituted. It's not. This is going to be the same thing. We're going to see, our cable bill might go down, and then you start taxing on all the taxes that the government's going to get in on it, and our service is probably going to drop. I hope I'm wrong, but
I can argue that too a little bit, and not argue, but just show difference. I still don't see the government telling us you are going to pay $30 a month for 1 gigabit, while that means telling us, the ISPs, you're going to charge that much. They're not telling that to the ISPs. They are telling that to insurance companies.
Well, right. They're not telling you that yet. But remember,
okay,
so
yet.
now
That's
the
right.
government gets involved, and it's free internet for everybody. Well, somebody has to pay that.
And the thing is that if you want to get to healthcare and compare it, which we could, if every charge, all the charges to the insurance companies were not so high with the lawsuits, with this, with whatever, doctors charging, then they could charge us $100 a month instead of $500 a month and still make money. With internet services, right now, it's not it's not comparing apples to apples because the cost is constant. It's not that high. It's constant. You can charge more and make more money. But if the company wanted to, I mean, how can Time Warner in Kansas or in Austin suddenly cut their fees, their charges almost by half and still make money? They are not going to sit back and lose money giving you services. You know they're making money. So you know that before that, they were making double that money. But at 30, at whatever they cut it back to, they still making money. So this is sustainable. While with the healthcare, for a company, for an insurance company that charges you $500 a month because it was to stay kind of to make a little money, but to stay up, suddenly you tell them, no, these people are going to pay only $200. That is not sustainable. That's the way I'm looking at it. I don't know if how. I mean, somebody can explain to me why I'm wrong here.
Well, and I don't want to, rob your show here
No,
about
no,
this.
no. You
but
do, Merle. Stop it. We're in a hangout. We're talking. You say what you. That's the only way I learn.
Right. Well, I mean, here, and like Mike said earlier, we're picking out bits and pieces. Let me give you an analogy. And I used to be a Sunday school teacher, and I use this a lot. If I make some brownies and I just put a little poop in the brownie, does that taint the whole brownie? Are you still going to eat the brownie? I see this as a batch of brownies with poop in it, and I don't like it. And it all goes back to why the secrecy. Call me
Yeah.
paranoid,
Yeah.
but that's, we're only hearing good things. Let us see the plan. I don't understand that. That's my whole thing with this is how can you make an educated decision? And it's hard to even have an educated conversation about it, about net neutrality, because we really don't know what the plan is. So that's all I'm saying is this is backwards, and it's typical government. I mean, we've seen it before, and it keeps biting us in the butt. So I hope you're right. I hope it's great. I hope internet service gets faster. I hope it gets cheaper. But I don't foresee it happening, and I hope I'm wrong, which I'm wrong all the time. So I'm just some guy sitting in Ohio, talking about this.
And I hope that I'm right.
I have to agree with Merrill. If unless it's something to do with national security, why all the secrecy? We should, and as Merrill said earlier, they're working for us, or sorry, rather, they should be working for us. So there shouldn't be any secrecy on things that affect the general public. And why all the secrecy? Their attitude is, oh, because you may not like the results and they don't want criticism. Well, I'm sorry, but you need to take criticism if the general public aren't approving what you're doing. And we don't know whether we're going to approve or not until it's finally passed. Well, that's not giving us a voice, is it?
No,
so much of this is happening. And I mean, look at TPP, for instance, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's all in secrecy. An awful lot of these things to do with the new copyright laws and things like that are coming out. They're all done in secret negotiations and trade agreements. It shouldn't be happening. We should know about it beforehand, have a say in what we believe is right and wrong, what should and shouldn't happen, and then it should be voted on once we've had our input.
Well, the thing is, the thing here, I think, also is that we had no say about this, and we were never promised that we'll have a say at it with their plan.
Well, it's not a case of being promised. Like Merle said, they're working for us. They're supposed to be doing what benefits the whole of society, the whole of the citizens of that country, and it's happening all across the world in various different countries. There's so many different trade negotiations and secret negotiations going on that have nothing whatsoever to do with national security that the public should be aware of and have a say in. It's an option that should be open to let the public have their say, let the public be known what we feel, because the end result is they're supposedly making the decisions that benefits everybody or affects everybody, but everybody isn't having a say in it, and that's wrong.
Well, yeah, I see that. I got to admit, I wasn't following it all along, but I know that I was reading that the reason why why the FCC went into it is because it was going to be decided by some other government body, and it wasn't good for us, and and it didn't work out, and it was dragging, and that's why the FCC got into this and say, okay, we're going to come up with our own plan. Anybody remembers that? Am I?
At that point, they should have said, right, well, we're going to make our own proposals, what we feel should be
I think
happening.
they did. That's what I think. I remember a story about them saying, we're going to come up with our own plan for net neutrality.
Yeah, but then at that point, they should say, right, these are our proposals, open it to the public for discussion.
Yeah.
But not say, right, we're going to make proposals in secret, then vote on them, and tough luck, whatever we decide you're going to have to put up with. No, that's not right. They need to make proposals, make them open to public discussion, and then we can negotiate or come to agreements beforehand and say, right, everyone is happy with this. Nobody's feeling they're going to get left out or it's going to be too much one way, too much another way. I mean, it's a partnership, and unfortunately, the partnership is one-sided.
Well, I gotta agree that if they did open it to the public, it would have been much better. It would have go over kind of people would have accepted it a lot easier. People that think,
Yeah.
would say,
not
yeah,
giving people that option, it's almost like a dictatorship. They say this is what we're going to do, and you put up with it. Tough.
right,
It's
right.
too late to change it once it's been voted on and it's now current and it's now law. We can't then
And-
change it. It's easy to change it before it's all voted on and becomes law.
And
But
that's
when you
what
haven't got a
when
say in it,
that's where I agree with Merle's
Mm.
um,
But it's not only
comparison
this
to
issue.
healthcare.
It's happening in
Absolutely.
a lot of other aspects. There's too many secret negotiations going on behind closed doors that we don't know about until they've decided, and that's it. The decision's been made. No, it's not on.
Well, we'll see. I guess history will tell us. And as always, I don't have a problem saying I was wrong or I'm wrong. I just like to see it and say, okay,
I don't have a problem
look at
saying
the
they're wrong
good
either.
stuff. You what?
I never have a problem saying they're wrong,
Yep.
but it's invariably it's too late by that time.
So believe it or not, this was not the most important piece of news that happened last week. Mr. Spock is gone.
Yeah, very sad.
Yep.
Very, very sad.
Yeah,
He
And-
was an ambassador, I think.
absolutely.
You know, I found it interesting that, you know, his little hand gesture that he does.
Yeah.
I guess I was reading an article the other day that that was talking about people thought that, you know, Hollywood had made that up, I guess, but
No.
apparently that comes from a Jewish tradition.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm going to read more about it because that's all they said. It was some Jewish tradition that they did during ceremonies. So I'm going to go find out exactly what it is because, you know, that's what he's known for, is doing that whole live
Yep.
long and prosper
Yep.
with the hand gesture.
Right. It's amazing how something as simple as that makes somebody get into history that they will never be forgotten just because things like that.
Well, that and the pointy ears.
That what?
That and the pointy ears.
Oh, well, yeah. And I was reading the article yesterday, and he apparently died from some kind of something, a complication of smoking that he smoked for a long time, but he stopped 30 years ago. Pulmonary something. Yeah. So rest in peace, Leonard Nimoy. I don't know what Sheldon is going to do now.
Kind of drives it home that life ends eventually for all of us.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's I see a lot of people that were talking about it and saying that they grew up with him. Will Wheaton, I read his blog and he said that he never really met the man, but all he ever heard from people were, you know, what a wonderful person he was.
And you feel like you know him.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I grew up with him, watching him on
Yep.
Star Trek, and I love the series. And I think that the general feeling that the show gave out was something that everybody can relate to. Seeing the world the way it is and seeing the world the way it was supposedly on the show is fantastic. Wouldn't it be nice if we could get to that point at some point in the future?
Yeah, and Movie Buff in the chat is saying that he lived long and he prospered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very, very true. All right. Back to computer stuff. So I saw a report that was reading about best anti-malware awards sort of thing. But it's a company called AV Test from Germany. Now, they didn't say which programs they were testing, but they gave the winners. So for consumer security solutions, the best protection, in their opinion, is Trend Micro Internet Security. Best performance is Kaspersky Lab Internet Security. And best usability is the Avira Antivirus Pro. I remember using Avira some years ago, and it wasn't that great. So I don't. They have best protection, best performance, best usability. In my opinion, I don't care about the last two. Best performance is meaningless. Best usability is meaningless. Best protection is what you're looking for. So, in their opinion, it's Trend Micro Internet Security. For corporate security solutions, their best protection is F-Secure Client Security. I don't know what's the difference between corporate and consumer. I mean, a computer is a computer, a virus is a virus. Information is just as important. I don't know why it's different for them. Best performance for corporate is Bitdefender Endpoint, and best usability is Sophos Endpoint.
Seg3 is asking in the chat, how about ESET? And I'm querying that as well because I use ESET Smart
I know.
Security.
I mean, there's a bunch of other. That's what I was saying at the beginning. They did not mention anywhere what programs they were testing to see which one is the best. I mean, they could have just used the ones that the companies pay them to test. I don't know.
Well, normally ESET.
ESET is a great program.
Yeah, usually it's up there in the top 5.
Yep.
So I'm surprised that it's not at the top or near the top.
And before I forget, I'm really beginning to believe that Security Essentials is worthless. I'm seeing more computers with Windows 7 and even Windows 8 that are getting viruses, and Security Essentials does not do anything about it. But we'll get to that a little bit later. The awards for repair. Best standalone cleanup tool is Kaspersky Lab Virus Removal Tool. This is not a program that you download and leave running in the background. You have to keep on downloading it if you have reoccurrence, because every day or a few times a day they update it, and there is no update in it. It's a program that you download, you run, it does its job, and it goes away. Best antivirus and internet security solution is Malwarebyte, the free one. It works great. And for Android, and more Androids are being targeted. Two companies, they say, tied up for top honors. Best Android security product is QIHoo 360 antivirus, and Cheetah Mobile Clean Master. I don't know if these are paid for or free, but if you do a lot of surfing and internet activity on your phone, you need to have one. But back to Security Essentials. It is just amazing. I don't understand. I mean, it was. You would think, first of all, that here's a program that is written by Microsoft, and they have the right hooks, right everything, and they can't get it straight? What in the world? Unless they really don't care. I'm using more and more on more of my computers. I installed Avast, and I'm happy with Avast. As a matter of fact, I always say, you shouldn't pay for antivirus. I ended up paying for Avast just because it does a good job. And you can't put a price on something that makes you feel, okay, I can get on the internet and not worry about it. And I don't know that I can say the same thing about Security Essentials anymore. They're not talking about Macs, Tim. They're not saying anything about PC or anything here. I know that F-Secure has something for a Mac. I don't know about the rest of them. That's a good point. And talking about that, I don't know if I printed that story, but there was a story that I was reading about the most vulnerable operating systems. And the title was, you won't believe it. They compare Windows to Macs, to Linux, to Android. The most vulnerable operating system, and they gave numbers of, is OS X. Windows is second. No, I'm sorry. Linux is second, and Windows is third.
I'd say that's probably because of the user base.
Possibly.
It's been burned into their minds that there's no such thing as viruses.
Well, they were giving numbers of vulnerabilities. It's not like in general. They were saying there are so many vulnerabilities, so many high vulnerabilities, so many medium vulnerabilities, so many low vulnerabilities. And the whole thing was, people would have thought Windows, but it's not in the last few years. And they were comparing and Windows, like Windows Server 2008, things are really, really solid. They hardly had any. I mean, with Windows, Linux, and Macs, it was in the 200s for total vulnerabilities. And with Windows Server, it went down to single digits or double digits. Same with Android was in the 100, I think. I guess if you do a lot of stuff with your Android, you have a chance of getting. I've never seen one on an Android, never experienced it, so. But I don't do much with my Android as far as going and surfing, and I like a bigger screen.
Well, I've got an interesting story here.
Yes.
And this is, I think, gonna change the way. I don't necessarily change the way that people think about their websites or whatever, but starting April 21st, Google's search algorithm will now be ranking sites that are mobile friendly higher than sites that are not. So if you're a big SEO person and you still believe that exists, which it doesn't, but if you still believe it does, then you can get off your front page website from 2001 and get updated, because the Google's going to start hitting you for it.
Yeah, Google always changes. Every so many years, they change the way that their algorithm for how they do that stuff. And I believe we talked about it before, I believe they're doing it in order to keep customers with them versus allowing all these SEO companies to get bigger and bigger and smarter. So when they see that there's a lot of SEO going out there and a lot of companies are charging and making money SEO, they turn around and they change the algorithm. So now everybody has to completely rebuild and look at things in a different way.
Well, in this case, I mean, it doesn't. This case, this update doesn't involve that. I mean, you don't have to completely rebuild your website, but if you're a small business or whatever, and you're competing locally,
Mm-hmm.
and now your website isn't mobile friendly, it's gonna hit you right in the pocket. So
Yeah, well,
gotta be paying attention. You may have been able to get away with it for a while, but now that Google said it's gonna start killing you, it's gonna start.
By the way, that brings up an interesting point no one has mentioned. We'll throw it out there to think about, to go back to the FCC discussion. They don't be surprised to see new regulations from the FCC saying that every website must be configured to for people with disabilities such as blind.
it was
Don't be
always
surprised when you
oh,
see
for-
that all video streams must have closed captioning for people who are deaf.
there was always a good. It was an option that was good HTML to do is the alternate tag, which works for blind people.
Hey, I'm all for accommodating people with
Yeah,
disabilities,
absolutely.
but I'm questioning whether
You're
that's going
forced.
to have a chilling effect on the content that's out there, because how Amnon are you going to close caption this live broadcast?
I'm not.
Oh,
Now, there are programs. I was looking into it. Some of the big guys like the networks, the Fox, CBS, and all these, when they put videos online, they have to close caption them.
and why do you think that is?
I have no idea,
Okay.
because the government make them. No.
Anyway, go ahead.
But I was looking into it because some of the hosts on Nissan Communications were asking, if I can do it, and I started looking at it. That, I mean, you can buy a program to do it. You can hire companies that will do it for you. It's very expensive. The easiest now, they were saying, I mean, the articles were saying, if it's live, you don't have to have it. But if you put something and it's you post it there as an archive, it should have it. And there are a lot of programs that can, but you have to go in and type everything, and they will sync it together with. When the time comes, I guess at this point there not enough. There's not enough demand for it out there, so not many people are doing it. There's a fee,
That's not one of the criterion.
there's an option, a program that Telestream has. Can't remember the name of it, but that's what it's for closed captioning. And I was talking with, I mean, it's like $40-some hundred. And I was talking
Cost
with Steve.
is not an issue.
No,
if
I
you
mean,
have to
if it comes
comply,
now, if it comes down to the point that you
Now,
have
hold
to
on,
have
hold-
it, I
hold-
understand.
hold on.
I agree.
Mike. Okay, so the government's going to regulate this, correct?
well, let's
There's
answer
not-
that
They
question
may.
before
They
you
may.
proceed.
No, but
Okay.
let's
One at a
hypothetically
time, guys.
Let's
One at a time.
hypothetically say they do. How are they going to enforce it? What are they going to do? The internet police going to come and arrest you, Mike?
Yes, sir. The
Internet
FCC will send a federal marshal into a radio station and arrest the chief operator for violating the technical.
Okay, so now are you saying that you're going to need a license to be able to produce content on the internet?
You tell me.
I don't know. But I think you're jumping ahead of yourself by
Ne-
saying
That's
the closed captioning stuff is going to be there. The first step would be requiring some type of licensing to be able to put content on the
Nick.
internet.
Nick. Did you hear what Mike said to begin with? I mean, I got to jump here for Mike. He said, "Don't be surprised if." So it's not there yet.
No,
It
I know.
may
No,
happen.
I know. I'm aware it's not there yet, but the first step is not. It doesn't go from all right, we're regulating the internet
That's
to
right.
all right, now we're closed captioning. It would start. There'd be some type of licensing. You'd have to register, and if you break those rules, then something is revoked. I agree with that.
It's going to take years,
but I think
and
it's a little. I
Yeah.
think you're way jumping. You're
Okay.
jumping up 10 steps when you
Well-
should be walking up one at a time.
We'll see.
well, yeah, I know, and Tim, I think was saying who was saying that YouTube already does that.
They do closed captioning.
Yeah, but not on every. I don't know how you do it because not every. I remember seeing the closed captioning, but then you go to certain ones and they don't have it, and I don't know if it's a paid for, if it's. I have no idea how to get to it, but I mean, in this situation, if YouTube could do it on the fly and everything, then problem solved. But again, what I was saying is there's not that much demand for it right now, so there's not many companies out there that would do it, and that's why the cost is so high. It's just like when, and Mike, you know that when you started doing CAD program, there was AutoCAD, and you had to pay thousands of dollars. As the demand grew, smaller companies came out with something not as bloated and stuff that does what it needs to do, and they're cheaper. So we're just like Nick said, we're just going to have to wait and see. Let's not jump ahead of ourselves.
And
If worse come to worse, we stop podcasting.
Well, here's the other thing. Are we gonna see there's the current underground internet thing going on where people
Right.
are connecting routers to routers and
Yep.
and you know these
Their
insanely
own
big
internet.
antennas,
Yeah.
their own ether. I forgot the name for it. Sean and I
Yeah.
were doing some research into it a while ago. If that's the case, are we gonna start seeing? Are we gonna start seeing that? I mean, that if the internet's got such heavy regulation, we're gonna start seeing this. God, the name's just slipping away from me, but this, damn, I can't remember the name, but whatever it's called.
Isn't it the dark web?
It's not. No, it's not that dark web. It's like you're just connecting these like ubiquity, like insanely high-powered hotspots to hotspots, and they're the repeaters all throughout the country, and you're linking everything up. Damn, I'm totally drawing a blank.
Mike,
Um,
let me ask you this, and you would know.
MeshNet. There we go. Jeff's got it.
What is that?
MeshNet. Yeah,
MeshNet.
MeshNet.
Oh, MeshNet. Yeah, MeshNet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see
Um,
that probably start popping.
So, TV stations at this point have to do it, right, Mike?
You're talking about have to do what? Closed captioning?
Closed captioning.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, is there such a thing as a TV station like the low power, not even the low power, the amateur thing that you can put for your Christmas trees and
Those
go on
aren't
AM on
regulated.
FM? Can you do that with TV just for close distance?
No.
So it's only audio.
As far as I know, those
Okay.
are unregulated because they're below the radiation limits.
I actually, Mike, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but I know that I believe it was April of 2012, the FCC regulates the TV stations like local affiliates that broadcast online. They're required to carry closed captionings on their live streams. That was April 2012 is when that
Right.
They don't
became
or they
regulated.
do?
They are required to.
And,
Yeah.
and who required them?
The FCC required them.
Okay. You guys some of you may not realize, I was in the radio business. My family owned a radio station from 1962 until 1984. I have been to the FCC. I have stood before the inspectors. I have stood before the regulators. I have paid tens of thousands of dollars of lawyers to attempt to get a grant from the FCC. Don't talk to me about the FCC. I'm the most knowledgeable person in the room. And that was before they got political.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my point is that there'll always be a. I mean, you can always go and do your uh, podcasting from a offshoring CDN, and you don't have to abide.
Wrong.
Why?
Because the FCC will make it illegal for a U.S. ISP to carry that signal.
Yeah, that I'd like to see that.
Okay. You see, here's the problem.
I'd like to see how the FCC is going to forbid anybody to carry anybody. In that case, that's the end of the internet. That's the end of the internet.
Now we're talking the same language.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think. I mean, there's a lot. Look, the government always wanted to stop X-rated porn sites.
No, they don't. They sit there all day watching it.
And they couldn't stop them because those sites went outside the country.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
Then there will be an alternate internet.
And then they'll regulate that. So, I mean, you can't win.
Oh, come on, Mike. Seriously? Stop. I mean, every possible
all right,
thing.
guys, you're right. I'm wrong.
No, Mike, but it's every possible thing. You're like, well, then they'll regulate that. Of course, at some point, there's going to be regulation on everything. But, I mean, at what point do you just stop talking about anything else?
Nick just illustrated the problem. At his age, he has been so bombarded with regulation that it's now okay with him. In other words,
say it was okay, Mike.
We just lost the battle.
No, Nick.
But Amnon just said then they'll start. Then the other underground internet will start, and you said, well, then they'll regulate that too. I mean, that's not even an answer.
I think that Nick
they're going to regulate everything if they want to. But I mean, every possible solution, you're just going to say, well, they'll regulate that too. Why haven't they regulated it yet? What the hell took them the 40 years to regulate?
Okay.
Mike, I believe that Nick is talking about this because Nick is worried about it, not because Nick is. Oh, well, no big deal. I think he's worried about it. See, I don't have to worry about it because I believe that it's going to take years, and by the time that it comes in and it's enforceable, I'll probably be 6 foot under. Nick has to worry about it, and I think he is, and that's why he's talking about it. So don't say there's the problem because it's Nick and he's young and he's always been under that, so he doesn't care about regulation. I think he cares. I think he cares more than we realize.
Just at some point, if the government wants to regulate, they will. And it's not okay, but you can't make the answer for everything. Well, they're just going to regulate that too. I mean, of course. I mean, you don't live in a free country. If they want to regulate it, they're going to regulate it. What are you going to do? You're going to find something else. Are they going to regulate that? If they want to, they will. It's a never-ending cycle.
Let me ask this question of Mike. And Mike, don't take it the wrong way. Why are you working now? Why don't you wait another 20 years and then start working?
Because I won't be here in 20 years.
So what? So you're doing it today?
Not today.
Why don't you start traveling in 10 years? Why don't you go to Disney World in 10 years? Why now?
I don't like Disney World. I don't want to go to Disney World. If I wanted to go now, I'd go now.
If you want to go and climb mountains, why do you do it now? Why don't you wait another?
What are you hitting at?
What I'm hitting at is that you live.
CJ's getting in a panic over it.
Is that you live your life every day according to how Nick and me are talking about. You do it today. You do it today because you can. In 10 years, you may not be able to do it, so you're doing it today. You're eating steak and potatoes and French fries and everything today because if you do it when you're 80 years old, it's going to hit you really bad. So, hey, do it today while I can. That's the same thing with the podcasting. Do it today. There is no subtitles required, no captioning required, none of that stuff. Do it. Enjoy it. Don't worry about it. When the time comes, you worry about it. That's all. Everybody lives that way. Every decision we make, we always say, well, I can do it tomorrow, but tomorrow I may not be able to. So this is my point, that you do things today because you can, and if you worry that in 10 years you are not going to be able to, so you should stop doing it today and worry for 10 years until it happens, that's bad for your health.
Well, yeah, it might be bad for your health, but I tell you, Amnon, I'm worried today because I have a 7-year-old daughter,
Yeah,
and I don't want her to grow up in North Korea. I mean, that's why I
absolutely.
worry about things
No,
like
there, no,
that
now,
today.
now, there are things that you really need to worry about. Absolutely, healthcare, things like that. But for streaming,
Well, see, I
for
disagree because
internet access,
yes, but look. I mean, if you look at what the things that happened over in Egypt and Syria, the only reason we knew they happened was because of the internet. And these are places that have fairly closed and regulated communications on the internet. So,
correct?
yeah,
Because
it really is. I mean, this is something we should be extremely worried about
you,
because, truthfully, it's the last frontier. We can't rely on Fox, CNN, MSNBC to give us the news because big corporation is in their pockets. Um, to me, this is probably one of the last foregrounds of free speech. We lost the newspapers a long time ago. I'm extremely worried, and I'm glad people like Mike are worried, and I kind of agree with him a little bit, and we've talked with Nick offline. That generation is at a place right now where they're so used to the government coming in and telling them what to do. They don't care. They're not engaged because the government's going to do what the government's going to do. And I've been trying for a long time to make people change that perception. The government works for us. We don't work for them. But unfortunately, the attitude today is, Big Brother's going to do what Big Brother does. There's nothing I can do about it. So yeah, I'll sit down here in my basement. Mike makes fun of me all the time with my tinfoil hat on, and worry about this stuff because I want my daughter to grow up in a world that my father gave me.
absolutely, no,
Okay,
that's we
but here,
all want that for our kids.
so Merle, here's the thing. I can talk about this. I'm the generation. You're saying this generation is so used to growing up with regulation that we're just okay with it, and it's not that we're just okay with it, but what can we do? You
That's
elect
the problem. You can do a lot.
you can't. You elect the people into office. They do a total 360, and they don't do anything they say. I mean, seriously, what are you supposed to do?
You hold them accountable. That's one thing we don't do today in America.
The
We
problem
don't
is
hold accountable.
young people don't vote.
Again, because there's no accountability. You don't think you can change things, and you can.
Because
And
that's what we're taught. That's the problem. That's what the public school, the government school teaches us. I mean,
that's
it's
me
seriously.
and Mike are here to tell you that's not the way it is. But
I
nobody's listening.
I understand that that's not the way it is. But when your economics teacher or your participation in government teacher is telling you you're voting for the president, you don't really matter. Well, ding ding ding, there you go. There's your answer, Merle. That's what none of these kids are following politics. That's what they hear.
Well,
That's just what it is.
I have officially lost hope.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. And let me tell you something. You also shouldn't, again, you shouldn't compare those countries to ours because of a few things. First of all, no, let me tell you. So maybe it will ease the pain. You can't compare a country like Libya, like Sudan, like Egypt to the United States. It's a smaller country. It's a country that can guard their borders. We cannot. We don't have enough people to guard the border because it's so huge and vast. There are also, and a lot of people are not aware of it, over in many of these countries, including in Israel, where I'm from, telephone, television, internet today, everything was designed and provided by the government. It's a government service. I mean, today there may be some private entities there, but in Egypt, in Libya, this is not you have Verizon and Sprint and all that. It's the government designed. Government buried the cable. Government did everything so they can have a kill switch. Very easy. Not just because of the area, but because of the ability, the technical way that whole system network is set up. It was set up by them. So to kill it is very easy. It's as though you coming into your house, and this company is bringing you electricity from one side of the house, the other electrical company is bringing it from the other side of the house, a third company is bringing it from the other third side of the house. You don't have a kill switch. You have to go to 3 kill switches to turn the power off in the house. I mean, just to compare it to the analogy, when you have a bunch of different providers, a bunch of different gateways, a bunch of things, like, it's impossible. We used to have, back in the early 90s, there was May East and May West. This was where all the internet they were not providers, links were going, because the provider was there was no providers. It was government, educational institutions. Everybody had to come there and to peer with others so it will propagate to everybody else. Today, there are thousands of these places. You know what it'll take to have a kill switch in the United States for internet? It's next to impossible. And with wireless now, you can get service from Canada. You can get service from a satellite. You can get service from, different countries. There's no way for them to cut it off. There is no way for anybody to cut it off. This is why, even though Libya and Sudan and Egypt and all that killed or moderated their internet, people were still able to get out, because there were others. It's things that they did not foresee coming, that there's going to be other venues that are coming into the country, and we cannot do anything about it. Yeah, we killed everything that we know, but somehow it still went on. So if that makes you feel better, Merle, it's not something that, and I know you are into this and you know what's going on behind, but there's always, the only way to find that out, though, is for the government to try and cut it off, and then, wow, things are still running. Yes, some people are having problems, but things are still running.
I hear what you're saying, Amnon, but the majority of the people who aren't as tech savvy as everybody here, they're not going to be able to figure these things out if it comes to that. I mean, they're not going to be able to figure out how to get on the mesh web, get on the dark web. I don't think you want on the dark web, get on this mesh web. They're not going to be able to do it. So, they're going to be spoon fed what government's going to spoon feed them, and I guess we've lost. We've lost a generation. I
hope
don't know
not.
what to say.
Turning into a nanny state, everyone's brainwashed to believe just what they're told.
Yeah, and like I said in the chat, everybody, what's really depressing is everybody really cares more about what color the dress is, and I don't quite understand that whole thing. I don't know if it's a filter or what, but people care more about the color of the dress than they care about, the FCC regulating, internet. So it's a sad state of affairs today, I guess.
I'm gonna play a short video. I mean, you guys keep going. I mean, we lost the generation, you said.
One of the problems, I think, is that the younger generation just take things for as they are now, and if it changes, oh well, that's just the way it's got to be. There's no fight left in them. There's no interest in them to think, how is this going to affect me? It's like, well, we'll just go with the flow. And our generation was, no, we fight back against things that are going to be detrimental to what we have now and what we can expect in the future. There's no interest. They just don't care anymore. It's, well, I can get to Facebook, I can get to whatever else is I do on the internet, and nothing's going to worry. And they aren't interested in what's behind the scenes, what's coming up. That's what I think the problem is that there's no sharing of knowledge like there used to be years ago, where people would talk with each other. Nowadays, people just don't talk with each other.
Here is it's very short. It's it's brilliant, and it's called The Lost Generation. Merle, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I am part of a lost generation, and I refuse to believe that I can change the world. I realize this may be a shock, but happiness comes from within is a lie, and money will make me happy. So in 30 years, I will tell my children they are not the most important thing in my life. My employer will know that I have my priorities straight because work is more important than family. I tell you this, once upon a time, families stayed together. But this will not be true in my era. This is a quick fix society. Experts tell me 30 years from now, I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. I do not concede that I will live in a country of my own making. In the future, environmental destruction will be the norm. No longer can it be said that my peers and I care about this earth. It will be evident that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It is foolish to presume that there is hope. And all of this will come true unless we choose to reverse it. There is hope. It is foolish to presume that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It will be evident that my peers and I care about this earth. No longer can it be said that environmental destruction will be the norm. In the future, I will live in a country of my own making. I do not concede that 30 years from now, I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. Experts tell me this is a quick fix society, but this will not be true in my era. Families stayed together once upon a time. I tell you this, family is more important than work. I have my priorities straight because my employer will know that they are not the most important thing in my life. So in 30 years, I will tell my children, money will make me happy is a lie, and true happiness comes from within. I realize this may be a shock, but I can change the world, and I refuse to believe that I am part of a lost generation.
Isn't that something? Same word,
Interesting.
forward and backwards.
Mhm.
And it's true. I mean, we can't look at Nick and say lost generation. We can't look at these generation and say that, because we gotta have faith and keep at them and hope that they will realize that there are certain things that if they keep fighting for it, they will have a world, of their own making, a world of that they'll be happy in and all that. But things change. I mean, it's not the way that we grew up. I wish I could give my daughter the life of when I grew up. Wow, worry free, but no internet, right?
I think the
So-
key word in that was apathetic.
And
Big
what?
problem.
Sorry, what'd you say, Steve?
I think the key word in that was apathetic.
Yeah.
Big problem.
And there are a lot of people who don't care. Our generation and the new generation. And even their kids. But that's not what, and I'm sure that there were people who didn't care from years ago. They did not shape, or maybe they did shape the way that we live today. Who knows? But I guess that's the difference between an optimist and a pessimist. I like to be an optimist because that it makes me get through life. Quiet.
I'm a realist. That's probably why I'm such
Yeah.
a miserable old git.
Okay. All right, back to computers. So we had a storm. I've got a little story here. We had a storm. When was it? We had snow Monday night. We had snow Wednesday night. Wednesday night, Monday night was really kind of fluffy stuff. But Wednesday night was bad. So at 3 a.m, we lost our power in the house, in the area. So I get up to start the generator. That big, almighty military generator. Started right up and everything is working. About an hour later, boom, power out. Said, oh, shoot, what happened? So I go outside Generator's running. I look at the gauges. I look at everything inside, and everything looks right. I say, what happened? I stop it. I start again. Same thing. Then I'm going looking and looking and say, wait a second. Let me look in the breaker box. And the way that the generator is hooked to the house is outside on the meter box, right below it where the main breaker is. There's a breaker, a 40 amp breaker, to turn the generator on after you turn the main off. It tripped. I said, oh shoot, yeah, I forgot to turn off the strips for the heat pump. When we had the heat pump installed, I had the company that did it put a switch upstairs that I could just switch it off, and everything keeps on working, but it cuts off the strips because the strips draw a lot of power. So I turned it off, flipped it back, everything is fine. An hour later or 45 minutes later, boom, power is out. Go outside, it tripped again. Said, okay, it must be going bad. So I went, I turned off the water heater, I turned off the water pump because we're on a well, just to make sure that it doesn't draw too much. I mean, I was using it like a 1,000-watt generator. It worked, and it stopped again. I went outside to trip it, to reset it. The generator was not running. I said, oh, now what? So I went and looked, and there are a bunch of lights, and one of the lights said, no fuel. I said, now I know that there is fuel in there because I just filled it up about a week earlier to make sure that it was full. I said, but let's see. So I went over to the 55-gallon drum and pumped out a 5-gallon can and got it all over me. Started pouring it in, 2 gallons, and it started overflowing. I said, okay, that's not the problem. And there was nothing I could do because there's nothing you can do. Here it is sleeting outside, and you're standing there and you try and you look and you said, well, I mean, you just don't want to work. The way that it works with these generators is the way you start them and make them run is it's a 3-position switch. Down is off, in the middle it's run, and up is start. You push it up, and once it starts and the gauges go up, you let go of it, so it builds up enough oil pressure. You let go of it, it returns to the run, and it runs. Well, pushing it up made it run, but the minute I let go, everything dies. So I checked the oil, and there was oil in there. I said, and there was water, and it wasn't getting hot. I said, okay, never mind. I took an object, a can, and I jammed it in the up position. And it ran for about 45 minutes and died again. It was weird the way that it died. Is I was working outside, and I heard it like just idling, but it wasn't idling. It was the starter going, and it was kind of moving the generator. So I went ahead and took it out. And I said, all right, at this point, I need to do something. So I have a spare one. So before I hooked it up, I got in the car and I said, I know that breaker is bad because after these breakers trip a few times, I heard that they're bad. They cannot withstand the full load. So I went online before it died, and by the way, went online. Time Warner died about half an hour after the power went out. There was no TV, no internet. Uverse stayed up the whole time. I mean, the power came back at noon so it was out for 9 hours. I went online. I found out that Home Depot has those breakers. I went, instead of 40, I was going to get a 60, but they had a 50. I said, you know what? I don't want to overdo it. Let's get the 50 amp. I came home, put it in, went, and there's no power at this point in the house. Hooked the big blazer to the other generator, and those of you that know what it is like to hook a boat by yourself, this is a little bit harder because you can't move it an inch either way. With a boat, you can kind of put it and get it in place. It took almost half an hour to just get it lined up. Pulled it down, and I said, okay, now before I hook it up, I'm going to give the other one another chance. So I went, started right up. The time at this point was like about 8 o'clock, 8:30. It stayed running all the way till the power came on. So I moved the other one, but it's still there. It did not die. I didn't put the strips on, but at that point I put, I think, 2 space heaters, and the pump was working. The temperature was right at 32, 33 at that point. So the heat pump was putting enough, I guess, was putting enough heat. The temperature in the house went only as low as 62. It didn't go below 62. And at this temperature, it's okay. And all this time, I did not check internet. I didn't check anything. I was just waiting, going in and out to make sure that everything was still running and it's not going to die. Once the power came back, I realized the T1 is down. So here's the story about the T1, Nick. So I called Time Warner. And they say, yeah, we can see that it's down. It's not Time Warner. It's level 3. They said that it's the last mile, which is AT&T, has problems. I said, okay. Since most of the service is already moved over to the colo, it wasn't such a big deal that the T1 is down. So I wasn't as disturbed. But here it is, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, nothing. Nick, what time was it that the guy from AT&T showed up? It was late.
It was like 7 o'clock, 8
Yeah.
o'clock maybe.
I saw a van and I said, oh, maybe that's them. Sure enough, there's the guy comes in. And he comes with all that equipment and stuff, and he hooks it, and he said, yeah, I see some errors coming between here and the central office. So he went outside, and the poor thing, I saw him down on his knees in the ice and snow in the cabinet on the street doing stuff. So he disconnected, and he came back and he said, I need to go back to central office to test it from there. He did that. He came back. He said, yeah, I fixed some errors, but I don't think that's your problem. He changed the card. It didn't do it. And he kept on saying, I see that and those of you that understand routers on the on T1s, and there's a CSU. It's not like a router that you just get for broadband that you hook Ethernet in. There's another device. There's actually 3 devices involved. There's a smart jack, what they call, where the T1 comes into the premises. From there, there's an Ethernet cable that goes into a CSU, DSU, and that goes to the router. He said, your CSU is looped, meaning traffic that comes in goes right out. So you cannot connect, you cannot communicate. But he said the weird thing is it sees what your network is trying to send it. So I don't understand. He got online with the tech from level 3 in Colorado, and they were both working on it. The other guy was looking at it from their end, and this guy from this end. I think it was 8:30. They decided there's something wrong with the hardware, and that I need to get in touch with somebody at Nortel, which was kind of funny. So I said, okay, if you think it's the hardware, it's fine. I had another router just like it that we had configured years ago, that in case something like this happened, I can just plug it in. I said, test this one. So he did. He said, I see the same thing. I said, well, come on. Then something must be wrong. He tested it, nothing. So he left and decided, okay, that's it. There's nothing else we can do. I said, I understand, at this point, I mean, really, I'm about to do away with the T1. So it wasn't such a concern. When they left, I went and I ate. I mean, remember now, I've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning, out in the cold, wet, didn't eat right. So I went ahead. I told Nick and the other guys in the hangout, I'm going to go eat and I'm going to go to sleep. After I ate, I said, I'm going to try something. So I went ahead and I took the router that was in there, which was the backup one now, out and put the original one back in. And it wouldn't come up. It did the same thing. I said, oh, well. I put the one that I was using down on the floor. And I'm looking at the back of it, and there is a PCMCIA card sticking out. I said, oh, I forgot to put the card. So I pulled the card out, plugged it in, did the same thing. I said, okay. And I don't even remember in the morning doing this with the PCMCIA card. It must have been just automatic. I said, I have a backup of this card. I remember years ago I asked Jim Broom to back up those PCMCIA cards for the Nortel routers. So I went looking and looking, and I found a stack of them, and I found one that was the ARN for 135.1. Put it in there. Bam! Everything came right up. So I called Level 3 and I said, Kevin, you guys were great. I just wish that your equipment could have told you a little bit more about what's going on. And I explained to him, and I said, everything is okay. He said, man, I'm so happy. I said, yeah, me too. That was the story with the T1. Nick was surprised, and not surprised, was impressed. While we were in the hangout, I mean, within a matter of an hour, I got 3 calls from level 3. Is everything okay? Is the guy there? Is it? And Nick goes, well, that's the kind of service you get when you pay for a T1.
How much is your T1?
The what?
How much is your T1?
The T1 is about $200 and some.
Okay, so yeah.
But it's a service. It's a business service. So
exactly.
Yes, it's something, And even though I told Kevin, I said, Kevin, I'm getting ready to do away with the T1, but as long as it's working, I want it to work. He said, I understand. And the reason I'm doing away with it actually is because I have UVerse now, and I have static IPs with them, so I can use it instead of the T1, and it's a lot cheaper. So I'm going to do that. But that was a day from hell. The next day I called, there is a dealer in Asheboro, North Carolina called Delk, and they work on military generators. And I called and I asked to talk to somebody that could explain something, and I told him exactly what was going on. And Mike, I need you with your electric knowledge here now. As I was sitting in the house, I have that like kilowatt that shows you, it's like a kilowatt. It shows you the volts and the hertz that you get to the outlet. And I would see that the voltage is going down to 118, 116, 115, 114, 110, 107. And I knew at that point I'm going to lose the power. And sure enough, when it gets to about 106, 105, flip, and I go outside and trip it. The guy over there was telling me that it must be because I have water in the fuel, which is very, very possible. I haven't checked that because I don't use it much, but it's sitting outside, it condensates. But then I was talking with Uzi the other day, Mike, and Uzi was saying, as your voltage goes down, your amperage goes up. The usage, is that correct?
It can be. It depends on particularly on inductive motors, on inductive loads.
Yeah, there is inductive motors, all the motors. I mean, the fans.
It's very complex, and if I gave an explanation of it, it'd make
No, I'm just saying. So apparently, because the voltage was going down, that's what was tripping the 40 amp that never happened before. Because it was drawing more amps to.
On a purely resistive load, that's not true, but on an inductive load, on a synchronous motor, that does happen.
Okay. Yeah.
If it were just lighting in the house, you wouldn't have had the problem.
No, it wasn't lighting. It was the heat pump. It was
right. And it can damage the load too.
Yeah. Okay. I went ahead and adjusted it as I was going. I saw it going down. I would raise it. And I got it to about 120, and it will go from 120 to 125. And then it will go down a little bit, but then it will come right back up.
Well, did you ever fix it?
Not yet. I'm waiting for it to get warm. I mean, I've got the other one is running, and I checked it, and it's fine. So I'm waiting for it to get a little warmer before I go out there to...
Wait, you have two of those big diesel generators?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I mean, the price was right, Nick. I mean,
okay.
one was
That's
15. The newer one, the one I'm using, was 1,500. The other one was 1,000.
Actually, that's a lot less than I thought.
You know,
But he's got more room to store it than most people do.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's huge.
That's
The generator that you guys have at the house, Nick,
Yeah.
costs more than both of these together.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So the price was right, and that's why I did it. I said I need a backup of it too. So yeah, and Mike, when will you what am I trying to say? What is a dangerous hertz to run? High and low. I know it's supposed to be 60. So is there such a thing?
It depends on the load. And again, the analysis is quite complex, but if my guess would be anything from 57 to 63 is likely to be okay. But if you get much out of that range, the efficiency of for example, of your fluorescent lighting, the efficiency of the ballast, it depends on how broadband they are. Some of them may work from 40 to 80. I don't know. It depends on the load.
But does it, at that point, does it damage? I thought it would damage something, overheat motors if you're running at the too wrong of a hertz of a cycle.
It depends on the load, not the generator.
Okay. Yeah, I was running it at about 61.5.
That should never be an issue.
Okay. Yep. So
why were you running it at 61.5?
Because as the generator is built, the generator is a, what is it? It's not 220, 120, 240. It's
208.
What? It's a 3-phase. So it's a 408.
408.
And, yeah. So to get to something out of it, which you have to raise the voltage because it will run at, what is it? What is it? Each leg is. It's not. It doesn't become to 240. It's weird voltage, so you have to raise it to get it to a house voltage, and at that point the hertz goes up a little bit because you are it's more RPM, more voltage, more hertz. So, okay, now I'm all talked out. That's it.
Well, there's two things I got from that story, Amnon. One is persistence, and the other is making sure you've got a backup.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kathy was in bed and she was cold, and I went in there and she had that sock on her head, and she put on a couple of robes. I mean, I was fine, but at that point I didn't feel. And I hate it when you have the equipment and it doesn't work. And I mean, this is what it's there for. It's to keep us going when the going gets rough, and it didn't work. I was pissed.
Yeah, but you know, as bad as it sounded, at least it wasn't out for multiple days and you weren't dealing with that.
Yeah,
At least
yeah.
now you can get your stuff fixed. Yeah, it
Right.
may have been inconvenient for a
And
couple of
Amnon,
hours, but
you should have been optimistic because you knew that cold was not going to last forever.
Oh, I know, but it's you see, it was for right there and then. That's when
Right,
it was cold. I just wanted to get a couple of heaters there so everybody would feel good.
So you were overreacting. You were
Oh, no.
taking steps, and you were creating stress on yourself that was totally unnecessary.
I was not
because-
actually. I was not, Mike. Don't say that, because I went ahead right when the power went down. I was getting anxious. I went to my good old homeopathy kit, and I took some arnica and can't remember the other one. Skip my mind, and it relaxes you. I was pissed afterwards. While I was doing all this, I was just doing it and saying, "Yep, okay, it happened. Do it again. Get out there, switch it, come back, watch TV online, see what's happening." I really didn't panic, Mike. I don't know if you were trying to make a point, but it wasn't. When I was thinking later on, I would say, boy, I was pretty relaxed with all this that was going on. But I think if this was 2-3 years ago, when I had a bunch of servers here, I would have been a lot more anxious. At this point, all the servers are out, so really it wasn't. We don't have power. Okay, it was the heat. It was okay. And you never lost power, right, Mike?
I wasn't here. I don't know. I think we did.
But you had work?
What?
Did you have work?
What do you mean? Did I
No,
have
he
work?
was in.
Oh yeah, you were away still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out of town.
All right. When did you get back?
Thursday night.
Oh, okay. And that storm was what day? Wednesday?
Yeah, I believe it went out Thursday morning about 7 o'clock. I believe that my son was staying here,
Oh, okay.
and I believe it went out for a while.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, this was a bad. I mean, it wasn't a lot of snow, but it was a bad storm. Now, the other damage is the shelters over the military trucks. It's these tubular canopies that I put there. There are 3 of them, two double car wide and one single over the Connex box. All collapsed. Not the tarp on top. The tarp stayed. I had to go and cut the tarp. The tarp held all this ice and snow, the wet snow, that it mangled and everything fell down. The metal is all mangled, and I need to do away with it now. But that's the damage that we had. The damage. No trees fell yet.
I have some pretty important news here, Amnon.
Okay.
It might hit 40 degrees on Wednesday.
You?
That'll be the first time it hit 40 degrees since early January, I believe.
So maybe it'll melt away, huh?
Well, the sun has been melting it, but it's still been absolutely freezing out.
Our backyard is still solid white. I don't understand that.
There's still probably 5 feet of snow.
So Lenovo announced that it had enough of bloatware the world's largest PC vendor, says that by the time Windows 10 comes out, it will get rid of bloatware from the computer lineups. The announcements come a week after the company was caught for shipping Superfish adware with its computers. The Chinese PC manufacturer has since released a public apology, Superfish removal tool, and instructions to help out users. At the sidelines, the company also announced that it is giving away 6-month free subscription to McAfee Live Safe for all Superfish affected users. So
They're giving you another virus.
So no, Lenovo is
How
doing away.
generous of them.
Well, Lenovo is doing away with bloatware. They're going to stick with adware and viruses. That's that. They did not say they're going to stop that. People really believe. I mean, a company like that can put the stuff in the firmware. They don't have to install something. The talk was that it was in the firmware, and when you bring the computer up, it installs it from the firmware onto the hard drive. What happens the next time you do it? Or did anybody here, did they provide some firmware update to the computers that's supposed to get it out of the computers? Because otherwise, it's going to install it right back. I don't know.
Aaron, do you want to do specials or?
Sure. Do you have it?
Yeah, send it to you.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Let me go do it, and you can start talking about it.
Sounds good. So, Mike, how was the internet where you were on a business trip? How was the internet at would you say at a hotel?
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
Just like normal.
Yep.
When do you think we're ever going to see that change?
Oh yeah, with this new net neutrality now, hotels are going to be required to provide 1 gigabit to each room.
Okay then.
I love it how you said that so seriously.
Well, trying to give TJ a heart attack.
We did mention last week briefly about Google banning nudity on their blogging service. I see they've backtracked on that and they've changed their mind.
That kills traffic.
Well, it's going to make some people very, very happy. See, even companies like as big as Google and as powerful as them can be influenced by their users. Isn't that wonderful?
I wouldn't. Never mind. I will say one thing. I don't remember who told me about it, but we did on the way back. My wife, who is not the most technical person, she got a Note 4, and it or something comes pre-configured with Waze software on it. Waves,
yeah, WAYZ. The GPS app.
It's up there.
I gotta tell you, that's anybody traveling needs to be using that.
It's actually been under some fire recently because of the whole shows you where cops are thing.
Oh darn.
Yeah, that was it was a few weeks ago. There's some.
Oh, you mean the government? Never mind.
Oh, diddums, what a shame.
But remember, the purpose of the police being there are for safety, and if knowing where they are causes you to slow down, then that meets the objective for them being there.
Exactly. It's
But
nothing to do with
not
revenue.
ticketing you.
Yeah, so they're not getting their revenue from the ticket.
Oh no, but that's not the purpose. See, now you guys are just being negative.
Nothing to do with money whatsoever.
This has. Why are you so sarcastic, cynical about it? I mean, it's for safety. You go talk to a cop and ask them. They'll tell you that their only purpose is the safety of the American people.
Uh-huh.
You guys are so sort of cynical about things. You need to get over it. Merle knows. Yeah, but so of course I'm not a big speeder anyway. I found out it doesn't really help anything, but uh, it it was really nice to know where the traffic jams were, and there were plenty. We drove to New Orleans.
I think it's nice to know that if you have need of the police, you know exactly where they are. You can just walk up to and say, "Excuse me, can you help me, officer?"
Well, Dr. John says the police say it will allow snipers to target them. How many snipers have been shooting at police at traffic enforcement police lately?
It's a big concern.
Well, I mean, if you want to be a sniper and shoot at cops, all you got to do is sit beside the road and wait for them to ride by.
Merle says all you have to do is go to the donut shop. You can find them there.
All right, Merle, don't be negative.
Nick,
Yeah.
go for it.
Okay. Let's see. Let me post the link. 1 second here. Let's see. All right, there we go for anybody that wants to follow along. So, Spence is AFK again, so I subbed in with specials here. I'm going to start at Office Max Office Depot. They've got a Dell 14-inch, 2 gigabytes of memory, 500 gigabyte hard drive laptop, $229.99. Save $100 on that. They've got a Samsung, a 27-inch widescreen LED monitor, $219.99. Save $60 on that. And a Brother 2320 laser printer. That's the two-sided print and scan. It's not an all-in-one. It's just the laser printer. $69.99. Save $50 on that. They've got a Toshiba laptop. This is actually a pretty good deal here. 15.6-inch touchscreen, if that's what you're interested in. 6 gigabytes of memory and a 1 terabyte hard drive with a Core i3 processor. That's $449.99. Save $210 on that. And this is good for everybody. These APC backup UPSs, this is a smaller version. So if you want to, you're not going to power a huge computer with it, but you could power, moderate sized computer, maybe a monitor, and that's $79.99. Save $20 on that. And these little mice are good to have. These are the Logitech M187 wireless mini optical mice. And these are only $9.99. So go there, pick up a few of those, save $10 on that. There's another Toshiba laptop. This is another touchscreen, 15.6-inch, 8 gigabytes of memory, a 1 terabyte hard drive. But this one's got a Core i7 on it, so this is more of a powerhouse workhorse machine. Battery life so dramatically lower, but with that i7, you're going to get some stuff done. That's $699.99. Save $200 on that. And I picked this out for you, Mike. I don't know if you ended up purchasing this or not, but if you're looking for an entry-level gaming keyboard, Office Max Office Depot has the Logitech G105 gaming keyboard. It's $39.99. And if you're looking to get into gaming and you don't want to spend $150 on a keyboard, this G105 is a very good entry-level keyboard for that. And that's
Where?
Office. What?
Where?
Office Max Office Depot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very good entry level. If you're trying to get in and not spend a crap ton of money, there you go. You can do that. Now moving on to Staples. This is a Windows 8 HP desktop. Doesn't say 8.1, so running Windows 8. Imagine you could do your free upgrade, but it's $299.99. It's got 4 gigabytes of RAM, a 1 terabyte hard drive, and it's got a Core i3 processor. Here we go. We got another Toshiba laptop. This is not touchscreen. This is a Core i3, 6 gigabytes of memory, a 500 gigabyte hard drive. That's $399.99. Save $200 on that. And again, Staples is the only one in their circulars promoting Windows 7 machines. Here's a Windows 7 Professional, 15.6-inch, 6 gigabytes of memory, a 750 gigabyte hard drive, and that's $399.99. Save $200 on that. So still set on getting Windows 7, you can do that at Staples. There's the Logitech Z130 speakers. These are $19.99. Save $9 on those. These little power packs are pretty nice to have if you're charging a cell phone or a tablet. It's the PNY 2200 milliamp power pack, and that's $9.99 there. Looks like they've got 4 different colors. They've got like a blue, pink, a white, and a black. So check that out there. Another Acer laptop. This is a Core i3 processor, 4 gigabytes of memory, 15.6 inch, 5 gigabytes or 500 gigabyte hard drive, and that's $349.99. Save $130 on that. Here's a brother. This is the P-Touch handheld labelers. These are pretty handy to have. These are $14.99. Save $20 on that. There's an Epson Workforce WF2650. This is an all-in-one printer with a color LCD screen. It's $79.99. Save $50 on that. And if you're looking for a desktop, there's a Dell desktop. This is a Core i3 processor, 8 gigabytes of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive, and it's $419.99. Save $130 on that. And that's also running Windows 7. So if you're looking for a desktop with Windows 7, you can do that as well over there at Staples. Moving on to Best Buy, they were a little low on stuff this week. There wasn't really anything that was really good there, but starting it off, there's an HP Envy touchscreen 15.6-inch laptop with an AMD FX processor, 6 gigabytes of memory. It's touchscreen, and it's $599.99. Save $50 on that. SanDisk's got a 16 gigabyte Cruiser. This is a USB 2.0 flash drive, so that may have something to do with the price, but still USB 2.0, 16 gigabytes, $699.99. Or just actually $699. It's not $700. $699. Save $21 on that. Lenovo, doesn't say if this one comes with Superfish or not, but it's a 15.6-inch AMD A6 laptop, 8 gigabytes of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive, $349.99. HP has got a touchscreen laptop here as well. This is a Core i3, 6 gigabytes of memory, and a 750 gigabyte hard drive. That's $429.99. And they had this deal last week. Same deal. It's a Toshiba 1 terabyte internal hard drive for a laptop, or you could put it in some type of enclosure, and it's $54.99. Save $20 on that. And here's something that's pretty useful here. It's this Targus charger for most laptops. It's $50, but it's got, I want to say it's got like almost 10 different connections. So this is a pretty good, just if you're, a handy computer person, this is something good to have because it'll work with almost any major brand laptop, and that's $49.99. Save $10 on that. Something nice to have there. And an HP Pavilion desktop. This is an AMD A8 series processor, 8 gigabytes of memory, 2 terabyte internal hard drive. This does come with a mouse and keyboard as well, and it's $449.99. Save $50 on that. And a bit of a cheaper baseline machine. This is the HP Pavilion. It's another Pavilion, but it's got an Intel Pentium processor, 8 gigabytes of memory, and a 1 terabyte hard drive. Again, mouse and keyboard, and that's $399.99. Save $10 on that, and those are our specials for the week.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Nick, and what is the A8 compared to a Pentium?
For let's see. So the
processor. What is the A8?
The A8's the A8's definitely faster than the Pentium. It's the new generation I don't know why they're still. I think Intel really screwed up with naming their current processors Pentium because you just instantly think slow and old.
Is it a dual core, quad?
The A8 I think is a quad core because it's a desktop chip, but I'm not sure about that.
So it's definitely better to buy that than the Pentium.
Yeah, I don't understand. When I think Pentium, I think of a piece of junk.
Right.
Because you're thinking P3, P4, but these are nicer processors. But I wouldn't contemplate buying one just because of the name. I don't know why they haven't dissolved that name. Seems pretty stupid to me, but.
Well, thank you very much. This was very enlightening. I got. Remember, I told you I got the Lenovo NAS.
Yes.
And I had 500 gig drives in them. 2. I said, okay, it works great. So I went on eBay and I bought two terabytes Western Digital Enterprise drives. Put them in there. They won't work. It's
Did you say two enterprise drives?
yeah.
Won't work. Why?
They're not compatible with it. I remember reading that there were some drives that it's not compatible. They tell you what to use, kind of, but people were saying I was using this, I was using that, but this would not work. So I need to look for because really 500, and I'm already thinking about what I'm going to back up from all the computers at home and the studio. I'm going to need more. Because
Why don't you get the WD NAS drives?
the which one?
The WD sells NAS drives specifically for NASs. I don't know if it works with that Lenovo, but it's like the WD Blues maybe.
I don't know. I need to read a little bit more about it, but I mean it's fine. I'll use the drives for other.
Yeah, no, it's the WD Reds, and these are the.
Oh, the
you can get
Reds. Okay.
Yeah, you can get a 2 terabyte red for $95, which isn't bad.
Yeah. Need to find out if it works with it.
Yeah, I would hope it would, but they're definitely a lot cheaper.
Okay. Yup. All right. What else? Merle, Mike, Steve.
I have to go eat my breakfast.
Breakfast is 11 o'clock.
I understand. I've been busy for 2 hours.
All right. Well, if you don't have anything, I've got one other story here that, I mean, they don't tell you where to get it, but it's long been a pet peeve of many end users that Microsoft has made it such a challenge to procure a legitimate ISO image of its various operating systems. It seems like the company should have no problem offering them in an easy-to-find spot on its website, because after all, it's not like they can be taken, utilized without a legal key. Sometimes people simply lose the disk or ISO they had, and so it shouldn't be such a challenge to get a replacement. Fortunately, with a new feature on the Microsoft site, you are now able to get that replacement Windows 7 ISO. However, it's behind a bit of protection. You'll need to provide your legal product code and then the language in order to go through to the download page. If you've somehow lost your key but are still using the OS that it's tied to, you can retrieve it through a few different third-party tools. However, it does seem like not all valid keys work properly just yet, since some users are reporting valid keys throwing errors or not enabling a download for some reason. That would be great if, I mean, it's so many people get computers and they don't make backup disks of the operating system, and then they decide to format the drive for some reason and everything is gone. This is nice. I don't know if this is just for Windows 7.
It's not. I did it with I did it with my build.
Okay.
When they've got every possible copy of Windows 8 online, and there's no signing in or anything required.
I mean,
For
the
for
article
the Windows 8 one.
the article was showing some images and it looked like they were asking you for the product key.
Well, and that may be the Windows 7 version, but
Okay.
on the Windows 8 version, they didn't. I don't remember being asked for anything.
Now, Merle,
Yes, sir.
here is something talking about security and privacy. Cell phones didn't just arrive in Pakistan, but someone could be fooled into thinking otherwise, considering the tens of millions of Pakistanis pouring into mobile phone stores these days in one of the world's largest and fastest effort to collect biometric information. Pakistan has ordered cell phone users to verify their identities through fingerprints for a national database being compiled to curb terrorism. If they don't, their service will be shut off. An unthinkable option for many after a dozen years of explosive growth in cell phone usage here. prompted by concern about proliferation of illegal and untraceable SIM cards. The directive is the most visible step so far in Pakistan's efforts to restore law and order after Taliban militants killed 150 students and teachers in December. Officials said the 6 terrorists who stormed the school in Peshawar were using cell phones registered to one woman who had no obvious connection to the attackers. So here, this is now, this is, and over there, I mean, they're pouring in there to do it. Nobody is complaining. They're just going and doing it because, okay, if we have to live with less terror or something, I mean, what happens when this escape and get onto other people? I don't know. But it's interesting that in the Middle East, there's in not just the Middle East, in other countries, there's a lot of measures that governments and authorities are taking to that here would be, what are you talking about?
Well, Amnon, I'll leave you with a quote, which is one of my favorite quotes by Benjamin Franklin.
Good.
And he says, "Those who surrender freedom for security will not have, nor do they deserve either one."
Yeah.
So,
yeah, if you surrender it, right.
Yes.
And people are still mad at the NSA now because China is backing away from U.S. tech brands for state purchases after NSA revelations, according to Reuters. So they're saying because of all that stuff that the weird thing is the activities by the NSA are harming their businesses saying here in crucial growth market, including China. From the article, it says a new report confirms key brands including Cisco, Apple, Intel, and McAfee, among others, have been dropped from the Chinese government's list of authorized brands. Don't they make all these things in China? Who are they hurting? The number of approved foreign technology brands fell by a third. You would think that we would drop Chinese stuff after what was just...
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I know. See? It just...
Mike Phillips, I have a question for you before you go.
Well, you better ask quickly because I'm getting ready to Luca Puta on out of here. What's
Did
up?
you start House of Cards Season 3?
I have not,
You
and
need
don't
to.
post any more comments about the program like you posted.
I didn't post any. I didn't give away anything publicly. I was talking to Andrew.
Yeah,
I didn't give anything away.
you did.
No, I didn't.
You did.
What did I give away?
I'm not going to say it.
Oh, I watched the entire thing.
I know you did.
It was very good. Oh, are you talking about that thing on Twitter?
I am.
All I said is there's...
I know what you said.
That Mike, that's ridiculous. All I said was, how can they just end it like that? That didn't
Yeah,
give
so
you
tell us
anything
how
away.
it ended.
Yeah, how did it end?
It ended and Independence Day, the movie started. That's exactly it. Was
Oh,
the
boy.
ending was the opening to Independence Day. That's how it ended.
All right.
But I hope there's gonna be a hope. There's gotta be. It's impossible for them not to have another season, so we're good.
Okay. Anything else, Steve?
No, I'd like to say I had fun, so I'm going to do that. I had fun.
Well, I thought you were going to say you'd like to say you had fun, but you didn't, so,
No, I did, so I did.
well, it wouldn't be the same without you.
Thank you,
No,
everybody.
it wouldn't. Thank you.
Hi, Merle.
Hey guys.
Merle, what
Thanks
do you
again.
Merle, what
What?
do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I work, come
Yep.
home.
Yep. What do you do at home? You got something? You got a little project?
I
to work
sit in
on.
my basement with a tinfoil on my head to try to keep the the
Yeah,
government
but Merle,
from
you
bringing my calls.
you have a network. Is that true?
Yeah, it's kind of true.
All right. Well, what's going on there?
Nothing right now. We have pod faded completely. So,
Now
What
I'll
about
come
Beaver
back.
Creek Tactical? You just did a show.
Beaver Creek Tactical. Yes, we are actually. If you're interested in AR-15 builds, now first let me throw this out there. I'm not a gunsmith. I don't know everything about guns, but I'm going to take people through a journey with me in order to get my class C. Is it Class C? Yeah, my Class C from the Bureau of Alcohol. Bureau of who is it?
Fire,
Good grief.
tobacco.
Yes.
What is it?
The
ATF.
FTA, the ATF. I'm going to get my Class 3 through the ATF. So
Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
I'm going to meet with somebody who's going to help me set up a trust. So I'm going to kind of document that and talk about it. And then I'm actually going to walk through and document the process of applying for that Class C license online. So, and then I'm going to build a short barrel rifle, or turn my AR-15 rifle into a short barrel rifle, which is why I need my Class 3, or Class C. So that's probably going to be the big thing over the next couple months with Beaver Creek Tactical. And me and my good friend Stephen Haywood are working on something too that might be interesting if you're a gun person. So stay tuned.
Oh boy, I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Mike's going to be our first guest.
Mike or Minor LA?
What's that?
Mike or his wife?
Oh, no.
All right. Thanks, guys. And I just want everybody to understand that all the discussions that we had here today and all the disagreement, we still love each other. This is all positive stuff. Okay. So, again, thanks, everybody. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. And wait, before I go away, Nick.
Yes.
Yes. You doing a podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we need to know about it again.
The Infection Podcast. Check it out. Infectionpodcast.com.
Infectionpodcast.com.
Keep it buzzing.
And if you and it's not just, I mean, for those of you into games, it's not just the podcast. If you go and you follow it, then you would know every time that when Nick and Brian are going to play the game and stream it, and it's very, very interesting. I'm not into games. I am now into this game. I love watching them doing it.
We appreciate your
it's
your
really
support.
nice. All right. So again, good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something for Untied Together. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, I'm sorry. But you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tune in today at 1 o'clock right here for Brunch with Gisela. It's 8 o'clock. It's going to be the Tanya Love Show. Tomorrow, I don't know if we're going to have Health In, but I know we're going to have Breaking Free at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, sorry. See you then.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.